Oh yeah,
Hello, hang on. I need to swap cameras because I'm on the wrong one. Hang on.
that's
That
okay.
one, that one. That's
I'm
better.
s- I'm sorry about that, but StreamYard seemed to be. I come off one screen, and then all of a sudden it started playing up.
It's the way when you leave the studio, it ends the stream.
Oh right, okay, okay,
So
right.
you have to be careful around how you do it.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's all right.
Long time no see.
Absolutely. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm alright. Yeah, it's growing fast.
Good.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for coming back.
Not a problem. You probably also, in terms of screens, because you've got a split, so you probably just want to have the one screen icon that's about there-ish on your menus.
Right, okay, okay. Um, so I'll get rid of that.
Okay, so down the bottom of your screen, you've got a selection of what, 5 or 6 different modes. So you
Yeah,
can have like one screen or 2 screens or whatever. And at the moment, I can see we've got a screen where you've got a little side screen and then a big screen.
yeah. That's just what's been happening. Yeah.
Okay. Um, so I take it we've actually gone live somewhere now.
Yes, yeah.
Right. Where are we live, my darling?
On StreamYard, on Facebook.
Right. Okay. So should we start then?
Yeah, okay. Anyway, sorry about that, folks. We just have been having some difficulty. Nice to see Nicola back and Nicola Howard back. It's been quite a few years now, Nicola.
I believe about three or four.
3 or 4 years, brilliant. And what I want to talk about today, Nicola, is really about weight management,
Mm-hmm.
about weight and everything. Um, Firstly, can you tell everybody what you do?
Okay.
Okay.
Um, I'm Nicola Howard, life alchemist. I'm a health-led business coach because if you don't have your health or your health is a bit wobbly, then you really can't run a business. Yet conversely, if your business is structured so that it kills you, well, we need to sort that bit out so that your health can actually be supported rather than drained by the business you're running. So I've started from where I was sort of 20 odd years ago, 26 years ago, when I first started eating a low carbohydrate way. Um, Evolved my own systems through that. And of course, we talked about that the last time I was on, where I have the Hope protocol that allows you to shift your eating in sort of 6 weeks towards that, what I believe is the human appropriate diet. I also do a lot of work in mindset and orienting your mind so that you can change any change you make, you can sustain. Because, of course, if this is not trained for a different way to look at rewards, treats, comfort, whatever, you will slide back into old patterns. And normally that old pattern is either a cake, or for me, it was chips or alcohol, or whatever way you used to do those rewards, comforts, pleasures, and whatevers. And of course, now I've added on because a lot of my clients were also women entrepreneurs and were asking me, well, how are you running your business? You've got all these things going on with you. So I then took those systems that I'd been using successfully for about 5, or in fact, probably more like 7 years at that point,
Yeah,
systematize that, and that's where I now fall. So the health-led, health-first business coaching.
brilliant. And I've been following you for the past few years. You've been doing some amazing stuff,
Thank you.
and it's just amazes me how you grown from when I first known you up to now. Um, we get a lot of people on here, especially talking about lots of weight, because I've been through it myself in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some people thinking, how can I get out of this trap
Mm-hmm.
where they are? And I tell people about it's all about the mind. It's the way it's your thinking. It's about it's about the thinking. Can you
Mm,
give some advice?
absolutely. Um, as I alluded to just now, if you do not orient your mind to look at the way you put things in your face, and more recently I've also been talking about what you put in your eyes and your ears as being as important as what you put in your mouth. How we consume anything is how we consume everything. And so when we are wanting to make a change, it's not just as easy as deciding to make the change. That's only the first step. Once you then have made, what is it, you decide to make the change, you
Yeah.
plan to make the change, you make the change, and then you sustain the change and you keep on keeping on. And those two bits, basically people tend to go make the change but don't do the prep work and don't do the after work. So
Right.
then people are surprised that it fails. It doesn't fail, you just learned a way that it doesn't work for you.
Yes. Yeah.
um, and again, with the human appropriate diet, which I believe is high taste, high nutrition, low carbohydrate, high satisfaction, it's far easier to maintain that change because you're not hungry all the time. And a lot of the conversation I'm talking to at the moment is around the GLP-1 agonist drugs.
Right.
And of course, human appropriate diet is effectively you stimulating your own GLP-1 in the guts, because it's a hormone that is produced that produces satiety. It means that you don't have to eat as much. And so what the agonist drugs are doing is effectively pushing that button in a way that's about 100 times bigger than we naturally produce ourselves, and
Yeah.
it pushes it for longer. And that, of course, has a whole cascade of, as soon as you stop doing that, you will go back to the behaviors you went back to, because we aren't training people to
Yeah.
change
Yeah.
their mind. And the stats are, most people will comply for around 18 months to 2 years, and then they will stop taking the drugs because, not necessarily even side effects, but because life just gets a bit beige, to quote Jason Fung, Dr. Jason Fung. He said it the other week, because GLP-1 is acting on the brain to reduce dopamine and GABA,
Yeah.
and that just makes life a bit beige and a bit boring. And then people go, well, I want to enjoy my life, and then they go back to doing all the things that they used to do anyway, and then they get bigger again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a whole bunch of, everything we do is all about
But the mind.
mindset,
Yeah.
all of it.
Yeah. So what is so if someone contacts you, you must have had quite a few people. You know, if someone contacts you and says, right, I want to lose weight, I've been having problems. Like 1 minute I'm on a plan, or I'm on a Jack, Monjaro,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, and things are seems worthless. And because some people do kind of like they go on these weight loss plans, and the next bit they just give up after a while.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say? What would you say?
I would say, first of all, are you eating what I call human appropriate? Are you low carb already? If not, let's get you there. First things first, because one of the things that does physiologically is it stabilizes you. So it stabilizes your blood glucose. It starts you producing your own GLP-1. It starts calming down the dopamine reward loop in your brain, not removing it, which is a subtle difference when you're doing it to yourself.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And that process needs to happen before we can then look at, well, okay, now we've done that bit, let's do the work to make that stick. And so that's then about learning, or unlearning more precisely, a whole bunch of messaging we have been given as children. Everything comes back to what we learned between the ages of 0 and 7. So
right.
when you are between 0 and 7, we are theta based beings, the brain waves. That means we are effectively in hypnosis mode. So we're not actively learning. We're like sponges. We're taking on strategies that we need to survive in the world that we are in, whatever those strategies are. And then the problem comes as we become adults. We move from theta to alpha and beta. We start actively questioning. All these things have been very well documented. And then we have adulthood, but we're still running those childlike patterns unconsciously. This is not our fault at all. It's just the way we work. And it's the point at which we start questioning is normally, I've done this before. I've been around this loop before. I'm doing the same pattern, because it's the pattern you got when you were a child. And so we then start to actively break those patterns by looking at messaging, knowing that we are not our thoughts, starting to love and honor our bodies, starting to know that the people around us, we do not have to accept what they say to us. And we also don't have to accept what our brain is saying to us. We, as I believe, divine beings connected to everything through all time and space,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
can make our own choices regardless of all the information, both external and internal, that is coming to us. And it's the that is the work, and that is the work of the rest of your life. It gets easier over time for sure, but there's always the choice to be made.
yeah, yeah. It's your choice, and also we got to take the blame as well, aren't we? We because it just, we eat the stuff. We eat the food, so we've got to kind of like say to ourselves, okay, if you're going to have a McDonald's today, just say a McDonald's a day, is that going to help you lose weight? Of course, it's not.
Yeah.
It's going to be more fat in your body than anything else.
Well, I look upon that. I mean, I think we've spoken before about my OSN scale. For
Yeah,
me, that would be a non-optimal choice.
right.
But accepting the consequences of that non-optimal choice, and does this serve me? As you said, is it going to help me doing what my ultimate destination is? Normally, the answer to that is no. But then also with my 3 tenants, the third tenant is make each mouthful as optimal as possible, given the circumstances you find yourself in. Sometimes McDonald's is the choice you have to make because that's all that there is. But even within that, there are choices of, well, you could have the quarter with cheese and discard the bun.
Yeah,
You Burger King, you can have a double whopper and ask them, can you not put a bun on that? And actually, I carry
yeah, yeah,
cutlery in my handbag
yeah.
so that I can always choose to eat with a knife and fork. So there are ways you can prepare you and your environment to make even a non-optimal choice as suboptimal as you can move it to. There is always a way, but sometimes it's just I'm just going to do this. But then that's about being an adult and accepting, well, that's the choice I'm making right now. And if I make that choice more than once, then that's probably not going to get me where I want to go. But right now, that's the choice. Okay, no guilt. Have that choice. Move on to the next optimal mouthful.
So the trouble is, right? Destination. Where can we? Where in your type of work? Like, as I keep saying, do Morris work. You, what destination can people go to? I know they can kind of like lose weight and they can be, fully fit again, things like that. And there's some people who are thinking, oh well, I'll give up, I've been through all this slimming world and everything, and people give up. You know, what is the destination you say to people
So
where, yeah, sorry,
at the very start of the work I do, we do a why because exercise.
right,
And so what is motivating you to want to start this? And to lose weight is such a pathetically weak thing in your brain. But what does that mean? Okay, so if we want to get thinner and fit, fitter, why do you want to do that? And it's normally because I want to be able to go up the stairs without my knees creaking, because I want to play with the grandkids. I want to fit in an airplane seat and go on holiday and have a fantastic time. I
yeah,
want to climb Mount Snowdon. And it's normally there's a raft of reasons that are under that very superficial to lose weight, which also I'm the word lose, of course, is always about sadness. We
yeah.
lose keys, we lose money, we lose people. I got a whole new appreciation on that when I lost my mum 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago now.
Oh, sorry about
Um, yeah, and it's that whole. This is why I often part of my work with the mindset stuff is changing language to more empowering words. Ditch, delete, burn, get rid of, remove, implying positive change to the brain, something that you want to do. And also the whole one of the reasons you might want to get thinner. Well, you don't want to just get thinner. You potentially also want to get fitter. So you want to gain muscle mass so that you can then have a faster metabolism that allows you to do more things. So it's all about that reframing, and none of that is this very superficial um, statement that sets us up for failure to start with. It really does. That whole statement, I want to lose weight, sets us completely up for failure at the beginning. So a lot of that initial work I do, again, it's all about your mind. It's not just about changing your food, changing that frame. Well, why do I want to do this change? Why do I want to do it? And getting people to dig into those reasons. Because when you then feel like giving up, yeah, but if I give up, I won't be able to fit in the plane seat. I won't be able to run around with the grandkids. And the stakes are a lot higher.
Yeah, yeah. So, what do you think then in your kind of work that when people come to you and they say, "Yeah, okay, I want to lose weight," and it's all about the mind, the you know perseverance, and kind of like change of habits. We talked before, Nicola, about foods and stuff, and you only got to go to a supermarket now.
Mm,
The last time we talked, the supermarket chain's gone so big now, and that's and right in front of you they've got a pasty counter,
mm-hmm,
and all of a sudden you go down to another aisle, they've got slim fast, and if
mm-hmm.
you go on to another aisle, they've got all these weight loss drugs. Somewhere people are making money.
Oh, yes. Well, this is again, this is all about the environment we're in, and there's a big intersection at the moment within the cost of living crisis, what we can actually afford to eat. And also, there's a little bit about the fact that this lovely sort of 3.5 pound of white matter and grey matter in between our ears loves short term goals, short term gain. It never sets us up for long term success because it doesn't know if we will be alive tomorrow.
Yeah,
The brain is a short term engine, effectively. All it's worried about is, are we alive right now? Potentially, can we have children? That's it. That's its two concerns.
yeah,
Doesn't really care about happiness at all. So when we're in the environment we're in now, again, this is about the choice of how we then support that environment. How we spend our money as consumers is vital. And
yeah,
we have a lot of power that we don't really recognize we have.
yeah,
And when you are in a situation where you don't have potentially a lot of cash and a packet of biscuits is cheaper than fresh fruit and meat and fish and cheese, which it is at the moment,
yeah,
that in itself is a landscape that we have to accept to, well, no, I'm not going to make the cheapest choice I can. There are other ways of doing it that our forebears had around buying the cheaper cuts of meat that you can slow cook and produce bulk meals for the week. You can get really great nutrition much more cheaply than the fast things that we are being sold, and that's the key.
yeah. Totally agree there. I totally agree. I think the trouble is, though, is everything is around us. It's
Mm,
so tempting. Now, getting back to your business. Now, so you've got this person who turns up, asking for help and everything, and you're kind of like talking to him and everything. Now, what goals do you want to see in that person, he or she, to take? Do you get what I'm getting at?
what goals do I want? I want the goals that they want for themselves. But also, sometimes people come to me and they've never effectively dared to dream. They've always been fat, or they failed so many times
Yeah,
on so
yeah,
many diets, or they've had I call them big people, aunts, uncles, parents, teachers, who have been giving them messages about themselves that are effectively not true. You are not worthy. You are not enough. You are stupid. You are fat. You are lazy. You are not beautiful. You are all these things that we are given by the environment that we came up in.
yeah,
And so that work is about recognizing that these messages are not truth. We have to make our own truth, and sometimes that's accepting, this wonderful, gorgeous, amazing, sexy body that we've all been given is what it is, and it is doing the best it can. Most of us are born into we are born as healthy as we're going to be, and the body will want to maintain that.
Yeah.
So we give it the correct environment, ecology, nutrition, sleep, sunlight, exercise, it will do that for us.
Yeah.
Almost without us doing anything about that. Yes, there is effort, and there is it. What is it? It's simple but not easy. Is the
Yeah.
statement there?
Yeah.
So it wants to be healthy
Right.
as it can be, and when we support it in that goal, it will do it. Simple as.
Now, I want to go back to what you're saying about, about being fat, and all the stigma stuff behind it. You know, um,
Mm.
I I don't know if you've seen my video, but I made a video a couple of years ago about stigma, about weight, about being overweight and everything. And the trouble is, there's too much stigma out there at the moment. And what's happened is there's a lot of people who are at home. They're afraid to leave their house because they've been stigmatized
Mm-hmm.
by awful people saying about their weight, what they're doing, and things like that. They're saying it's your fault, and they know it's their fault, and they're doing the best what they can, but they're afraid to go out because of the stigma and because of the terrible violence they get. Did you know
Mm.
there was somebody who was walking down the road in London, and he was, I think it's about 24 stone, and he just got chucked loads of food at him,
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. So we're in this world, so they're locked up in their homes, right?
Mm.
Now, where where do you find what do you think about the stigma that's going on in this country and around the world? You only got to look into America. Every street corner, hot dog van. You
Mm.
know what I mean?
Oh, well, America's food culture is, thankfully for us, very different.
Right.
There is document after YouTuber after whoever that an American moves to the UK and eat the way they've always eaten, and they become slimmer because their food is so packed with sugar and packed with things that we don't allow, and even at eating the same volume of food,
Uh,
they get smaller.
True.
But there is a huge dichotomy in the world around, you must be thinner, we want you to exercise, we want you to get healthier, and yet on the flip side, as you say, if a fatter person goes to a gym, there will be
Yeah.
the laughing at people that are trying to become healthier,
Yeah.
and
And it
and
puts
and
them
that
up.
in itself is, I'm not sure how we solve that problem. The only way I know to solve it is personally, is just to show up with no, am I allowed to swear on here?
Yeah. Go on. Carry on.
Just showing up in the world with no fucks given, and I am me, and that is that.
Well done.
That also, I think for women especially, I'm now perimenopausal, menopausal. The loss of the estrogen in my body, and it is lost, it ain't coming back. Estrogen is a molecule that makes women fluffy and societally more accepting of things.
Yeah.
And I'm now a Gen Xer that's kicking down the doors about all the crap that we are going through, so that the
Right.
millennials can walk through. Quite
Okay.
frankly, I'm not going to see the benefits of the work I'm doing. The millennials and the Gen Zs will, around the stigma around the whole bunch of women's health stuff.
Yeah.
But it's that whole, once you get to the age where you give no fucks anymore,
Yeah.
um
Yeah. Yeah.
it's that showing up as me, and I'm the first to admit I am not slender. I have recently discovered I've got hemochromatosis.
Mm.
That means that's been affecting my pancreas and its ability to regulate my blood sugar.
Yeah.
So I've been doing all the good things, making sure that I'm eating low carb, making sure I'm eating high nutrition, and my own health was going the wrong way. And
Yeah.
it wasn't until I discovered I've got this issue going on, oh, that explains everything that I'm seeing, along with the menopausal shift in hormones, and that's its own little story. And so sometimes it's this whole, well, I can't change who I am, what I am. All I can do is do the best I can for me. And if you have a problem with that, well, that's your problem, not mine. And I just won't give you my wonderful shininess. And I've had eggs thrown at me from a car back about 20 years ago. Someone threw eggs out of the window. That was
Yeah.
a bit shocking. And the fact that they've had the upbringing that they feel that that is appropriate. And there's a whole bunch of society stuff we can go off on a tangent around attacks in the press around people with disabilities, attacks in the press on migrants, attacks on the
Yeah.
press on anyone that doesn't conform. Um, that is not to do with us as people, that is to do with the environment in which people live. And
Yeah.
some people, unfortunately, are more susceptible to that shitty messaging than other people.
Yeah.
All we can do is be
It's
wonderful.
yeah, yeah. When I was in the newspapers years ago, it was like I was getting all these messages, and I was told not to read it and whatnot.
Yeah.
And the trouble is, when it's around you, and when you're in the spotlight of everybody, it doesn't make things easy. Because a long time ago, I was like reaching out to get the help that I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And the trouble is with people, it's like, you go to health centers now, it's got like a weight loss management course,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they do it for 12 weeks, and then and that's it, that's the end of
Yeah.
it. Now, if it was me running it, I would just tell them the actual facts. Don't hide away. Sorry about my phone.
Right.
You know, just I'll just tell people the facts and how it is.
Mm-hmm.
And and, and the trouble is, if you are fat, thin, or whatever you are, does it really matter? Does it really matter? Yes, in some degree. On the other degree, no. Do you think about other people kind of like judging you? To me, at first it was. Then I just told them to. I've got to be careful because I'm a Christian person. To bugger off,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't take no notice of people. Didn't take no notice of people no more. And the trouble is, so Nicola, you know, it's so difficult in this world where people want to get help. Do you find it in your work and everything? People coming to you and saying, okay, I'm really serious, or do they just kind of come to you thinking, well, so and so told me to come to you to get help?
Generally speaking, it's the former. I am not a Tupney system.
Uh,
So you have to have a relatively amount of seriousness to engage from a skin in the game perspective. If you get something for free, again, part of this short term stuff. If a human being receives something for no payout, whether that be time, money, or value exchange or whatever, we do not value that because we haven't given value for it.
right.
So generally speaking, the people that are coming towards me want a value exchange.
Okay. Okay.
So they have that investment to start off with. And if someone did come to me and say, well, I'm just coming to you because, it won't work because you're not invested in the process working for you. Because this will give you what you want. If you aren't invested, you won't get
Oh
return.
yeah, of course.
Simple as that.
I totally agree with you. And that's why I had to contact you again and talk to you about it because it's the right. You always, I like it when you just you tell as it is.
Hmm.
People need to wake up and everything. Look,
Well, the other thing about dealing with stigma is, again, I say it in a very simple way. It is not easy to not receive those messages. There's too many double
of course,
negatives.
yeah, yeah,
People that are going to talk down to you, minimize you, other you, whatever, in a way to make to try to make you feel bad is because there is something about you as a person that pushes a button inside them.
Yeah.
They are actually projecting onto you their insecurity, their fear of being judged, their fear of not being enough, their fear of whatever. And once you realize that if people are attacking you, it's because they're desperately insecure about themselves,
Oh
you
yeah.
can just send them love and move on.
I do.
Hope that they find their answer. But mate, you're not getting a rise out of me.
No,
And
no.
again, something simple to say, a practice to be done. And it takes a while to get to, I know it takes a while to get to the place I'm in. I've been doing this for what, 20 odd years now.
Yeah, yeah,
But it's that whole just being able to know that we are all enough, whatever shape, size, ability, color, gender, sexuality, whatever. As a human, I am enough and complete. And if you don't like it, well, that's your problem.
yeah.
That is a piece of work in and of itself.
Well said, and well said, and I totally agree. Tell everybody about how they contact you, and do you have any plans at the moment, like any courses that are going? And
Well,
yep,
I'm actually speaking from the business perspective. I'm actually speaking next week. I'm speaking at an event called Be You Now, which is the 4th of September at the Leonardo Hotel in Tower Bridge. I'm going to be launching my 5th book there, which is Eat Your Lunch,
wow,
because I believe that our best business decision is supported by eating your lunch. Yes, that's a trite thing. I explain that a lot more when I talk next week. Um, I have also, of course, the Hope Protocol is available at whatever.
yeah,
You can come and find me on all the socials. I am Nicola Howard on Instagram, Nicola-Howard on LinkedIn,
yeah,
Nicola Howard Life Alchemist on Facebook on here. So just basically, if you use Nicola Howard with a K, you will find me. And of course, low carb in the UK still exists, and that is the handle pretty much everywhere. Low carb in the UK. And yeah, I am more than available for a conversation with somebody.
yeah. And Nicola, thank you so much. For coming back again and coming back on, and giving us some insight in what you do. I always appreciate you. You tell what it is, and thank you very much. And I hope you have a good week.
You're more than welcome. And I'll send you a screenshot about how you fix your StreamYard because it's easy enough to do. So I'll send you the screenshot because I use StreamYard myself.
All right, okay, good, good. Anyway, thank you,
All right, my
Nicola.
lovely.
Hopefully, we'll meet up sometime, or we can actually do another one about your book.
Absolutely.
All right,
Absolutely. All right, my
thank
love.
you, Nicola. Bye
Bye.
bye. Bye.